Take a look at these two photos. What do they have in common? Well, stop it and examine closely if you want. What they have in common is the same subject taken from two different angles. One makes it look like it's a crowded street. The other looks like people are social distancing, which they are. The same sort of thing is done with charts and graphs. I ran into this one yesterday where someone was trying to prove that pneumonia deaths are being classified as COVID deaths. And at first glance, it looks like they may have a case. What bothered me about it is that it didn't have any information about COVID virus over top of it. So I went to find it. I found the CDC page, which had the information, scrolled down a little bit, and I had all the information I wanted. From there, I copied that information, posted it into an Excel spreadsheet, edited out the material that didn't pertain, such as the total numbers instead of the weekly numbers, and then turned it into a chart. I published it, copied it, and then I went back to the original and overlaid it. But immediately we see a problem. The pneumonia chart is for an entire year. Each one of those tiny little numbers down there represents a week. The COVID chart is only for 13 weeks. What we have to do is we have to scale that chart, squeeze it, and then raise it because the highest number on the COVID chart is 13,000 and the highest number on the pneumonia chart is about 6,000. So we have to change that graph. I pop it down, and the first thing I did is I placed it in the timeline properly, figuring that the 5th week of the year was when COVID started, and then it went for the next 13 weeks. And immediately we see something that stands out. There were 0 cases in the 4th week, and the pneumonia chart is already on the 4th week of a downward spiral. So COVID had nothing to do with that downward trend. Over the next few days, we had what? Few cases here and there. So there was no significant number of COVID cases at all during this chart. This chart was made to prove a point. And if you just look at the chart alone and accept it without checking things, you would accept the fact that this chart was showing that pneumonia deaths were being classified as COVID, when in fact there were hardly any cases of COVID during the entire time of that red line. Now, you really want to see what happens? We now scale it up so that the numbers are the same. Now let's see what this chart is actually saying. Look at the gray line. That's the COVID and pneumonia deaths. COVID and pneumonia together is almost as high as the highest point of pneumonia at any point in any year. Take a look at the orange line. The orange line is the pneumonia deaths. Right now, pneumonia deaths are higher than they've ever been at any point in the past. And take a look at the blue line. That's the COVID deaths. Look at where they are. And one final point. How about those folks who say, oh, it's just like the flu? Take a look at the flu, folks. Need I say anything more? You see where my figures came from? You can check them out, critique it. If I'm wrong, I will be happy to change my opinion.